Dear students, let us begin with the third part of the lesson, in which we will learn about India as a rising power. India's rise in the eyes of the world began with its 1991 economic liberalization reforms that led to the economy booming. Today, India is the foremost economic power in the Indian Ocean region. It has the region's most developed military, sufficient goodwill and diplomatic standing for its stated aim of benign development for itself and the world. Over the last decade or so, India has presented itself as a benign and cooperative security provider in the Indian Ocean region. However, given its vast soft power potential combined with hard power capabilities, India is expected to take more responsibilities than it undertakes at present. The lookist and the actist policies undertaken by successive Indian governments have ensured closer economic and security relationships with countries of Southeast Asia and East Asia. The neighbors come to India first for aid and development. However, India does not allow external nations to attract them with assistance in order to undertake activities that are detrimental to India's national interest. India has intervened in the civil war of Sri Lanka and the attempted coup in Maldives to ensure the stability of their national governments during 1983 to 1990 and 1988 respectively. The Indian Ocean waters surrounding southern India, Sri Lanka and the Maldives are vulnerable to threats of maritime terrorism and piracy. Therefore, India provides training to Sri Lanka and Maldives in counter piracy, counter terrorism and trains them in dosti exercises to enhance interoperability among their navies. India has built a chain of 26 coastal radar networks in the Maldives archipelago and integrated them with Indian coastal radar system to better integrate maritime security protection. With Nepal and Bhutan, India maintains regular exchanges of trade and economic aid and investments. Nepal is heavily reliant upon Indian ports for the transit of its maritime trade. India has significant investments in Afghanistan and has concluded a number of successful projects, including the building of Afghanistan's parliament building, besides building several roads, dams, schools and social welfare projects. India's relation with Pakistan has been strained since their independence. In Southwest Indian Ocean, comprising several island ocean states, India has emerged as a maritime security provider. India has developed a security presence through the provision of training equipment such as the patrol boats, aircraft and coastal surveillance radar systems, conducting hydrographic surveys and exchange of security advisors. India has patrolled Mauritian coastal waters, gifted and serviced patrol boats and performed hydrographic surveys at the behest of the Mauritian government. India also assists the Seychelles with maritime patrolling and hydrographic research, along with supplying surveillance aircrafts. In Madagascar, India reportedly has a listening post since 2007, which is intended to relay intelligence back to commands in Mumbai and Kochi. India has coordinated with the task forces of the United States and the EU in controlling piracy in the region. India has regularly escorted ships of international agencies carrying food supplies and relief material in piracy infested waters of the region. In Southeast Asia, Singapore is India's major economic and security partner. It is a gateway in terms of finance, travel and business between India and Southeast Asia, and is also home to a major Indian diaspora. India has also conducted maritime exercises and naval patrols with Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia and Vietnam. Trade between India and the ASEAN can improve for the better, which is currently undercut by non-reciprocated measures by ASEAN countries. While India witnesses exponential growth in imports from ASEAN, its exports have been reduced by non-tariff barriers, import restrictions and other quotas and taxes. India has therefore called for a fair review of its free trade agreement with ASEAN countries, though India remains one of ASEAN's largest trading partners. The air connectivity between India and Southeast Asia needs to be improved to promote the currently insufficient civilian exchanges except for those between India and Singapore, Thailand and Malaysia. Post the COVID-19, India's stature has enhanced in the eyes of both Asian countries and the world. It is more the notion of Indo-Pacific power that has brought India as a leading power in the world stage. It has the fifth largest GDP in the world with a total of 2.94 trillion US dollars. Under its Vaccine Maitri initiative, India has donated more than 6.64 crore vaccines to around 95 countries despite receiving one of the worst blows from the virus. India is a hub of medical research and its pharmaceutical industry is one of the leading industries in the world. India has also taken the problem of climate change very seriously. India's Prime Minister has pledged that it will increase its non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030. India has already reduced emissions intensity by 21% and given its target to reduce emissions intensity of GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030. Furthermore, it is the founding member of the International Solar Alliance, that is a consortium of 140 countries, multi-government organizations, industry houses and policy makers around the world to make solar energy a viable alternative to non-renewable sources. The aim of this alliance is to contain the Earth's temperature rise to 1.50 Celsius by mid-century. India has also ranked second in the list of most attractive manufacturing hub globally. However, the picture of India's growing prominence in the world is not all rosy. India has domestic issues to fight like poverty, unemployment and hunger. According to the latest Global Hunger Index report, India ranks a dismal 101 out of 116 countries in the hunger index measuring undernourishment, stunting and under 5 mortality. Internationally, India has still been unable to obtain a permanent seat at the UN Security Council and in significant economic institutions like the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. Thus, India has a long road to traverse to count as one of the global powers. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far in this lesson. India and China are rising Asian and global powers. Their bilateral relationship has witnessed resurgence in border tensions, economic competition, India's concern over Chinese expansion in the Indian Ocean region and China's concern over India's close relation with the United States. However, there are several common global issues where both find common cooperation, such as climate change, underrepresentation of developing countries in global institutions, peacekeeping operations in the Indian Ocean region, especially around the Horn of Africa. India and China need to understand their role in maintaining peace, security and stability in Asia. Despite misperceptions and differences between the two countries, they have to understand and realize the importance of each other. Partnership between India and China is important for peace and stability in Asia. Both countries should not think in terms of replacing each other in order to enhance their relations with other little countries, because most of them want cordial relations with both the countries. Knowing their convergence of interest, ties between them would certainly continue to grow. They need to have trust between each other. It is noteworthy to cite Wang Yi, Chinese Foreign Minister. The Chinese dragon and the Indian elephant must not fight each other, but dance with each other. I hope you learnt about China and India as rising powers in Asia and the world. We have concluded our lesson. Thank you.